Community Board, and I'd like to invite Mike Mora to come and speak about the draft annual plan, and if you'd like to also speak to the proposal to increase rates on vacant central city land, and then we can ask questions at the end.
I've got that. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present our annual plan submission to the council today. This will be the last time I'll be before you presenting an annual plan submission, so it's yeah, we really want to get some things done.
This will be the last time I'll be presenting. I'll be receiving the presentation from you. Let's make the most of it.
Absolutely. First of all, we want to thank you for the for the work that was done in that since our last annual plan submission as well. So we really appreciate what's happened in the last year from the outcome of our community board presentation last year. So we're grateful for that and the changes that were made to address those concerns. Now, the rates. The board acknowledges it's a difficult task to balance the cost of maintenance and development in the city, particularly during the uncertain and uneasy times that we've been through with COVID, and there's a lot happening around the world and the country. So we appreciate that it's very, very difficult for council, oars to take these challenges and move on. So that's much appreciated. But it's tough times, and what we do appreciate is some flexibility around the residents who are struggling financially to pay rates. So we really want a close look at how we can help people by, deferring rates and giving, rebates and, help and support in that area. And we also support funding for the implementation of the resource management and enabling houses supply and other matters as well. So that's another thing that we want to support. But just going back to 2.1.3, the financial contributions is an issue that we've been dealing with as a board quite a lot when we've got a lot of new development happening in our area, which is I believe it's the I believe it's the biggest community board in New Zealand, and we've got a huge amount of development that's going on. So what we'd really like to see is the development contributions actually really targeted to those areas of growth. So when the development happens, we can actually be in a position to actually fund the links between different subdivisions, because that's what's happening in Halswell now. We've got subdivisions here, there, and around the place, but the adequate links for pedestrian, cycle access, bus access, all of that sort of stuff is not in place. There's a lot of footpaths missing in Halswell when you go around that area. So we just want to be conscious of, where the development contributions go to. So we support the disposal of surplus properties, but request the decision to dispose of 151 to 153 Gilberthorpe's Road be revisited due to special, a lot of interest in that area. And I know this thing's going on, so I don't want to dwell on that at this point in time. But we know that if those building was to be retained, there would be a real busy hub there, because it was a multicultural centre when it was first brought and developed, and we haven't got a multicultural centre in our ward at present. So we think and there's a lot of other interest in that area as well that we would like considered. And the proposed, moving on then to the next slide, thank you, which is the request for the flooding.
Next one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one. Flooding issues in Golding Ave. So that's a real issue that we've been dealing with for for quite a long time, and it's very embarrassing every time there's rain that we see people not being able to get across the road if they got prams and you know, because they're up to their ankles in water. So that's something that's been looked at and looked at and looked at by council staff. It's been recognised that there is a need to fix it, but what we're pleading for is to actually get that done. So I just need to find out my link on this document here now. Amy's and Springs Road as well. So yeah, Amy's and Springs Road has been identified as a medium high risk intersection, and it's upgraded the long-term plan project 60099 aims to improve this, you know, and reduce death and serious injuries, crashes at this intersection. And we really need, it's a T-staggered intersection, so we really need to have a very close look at that again, because there's a lot of traffic goes up and down Springs Road, and Amy's Road is a very, very busy link road as well. So although this upgrade was originally proposed prior to the earthquakes, the work is now not programmed to start until 2025. So we consider that to be an area that we really, really want to improve those links, because it is a very fast growing area, and the links between all the development in Wigram Skies and Halswell and Knight Stream, that traffic needs to come backwards and forwards through those corridors, and safety is one of the things that we're really concerned about, and it's one of our board priorities as well. And it recognises the funding for significance in the advancement of will likely defer another project, but points out that this work is a safety work, while other projects scheduled to commence sooner is Gloucester Street, Manchester Street, Colombo Street improvement could be seen as being a category of nice to have, but what we consider for our residents in our area, that this is not a nice to have, it's an essential project. So we really are pleading for that. So the advances, safety improvements to Waterloo Gilberthorpe's Road intersection. Now that's the cycleways coming down there, and those people who know that intersection know that Parker Street comes up to that intersection of Waterloo and Gilberthorpe's, and the railway track is a lot higher than the surrounding land. So coming down Parker Street and over that intersection, you're going over a hump, and the cycleway is going to be just on the other side of that hump. So cars coming down Parker Street across the railway line, and bingo, there's a cycle going past there. So it's really, really dangerous. And we've got the support too of our Member of Parliament that that's an intersection that's really, really critically in need of traffic lights. There's all the kids from we've got Gilberthorpe School, we've got St Bernadette School, we've got Hornby Primary School, Hornby the Hornby intermediate and secondary school. So there's a lot of movement in that area, and we want to encourage cyclists as well. So if we just make sure that we can get that right, it'd be a big help. Now moving on then to, so if that could be part of that South Express cycleway, it'd be really, really helpful. Now we're moving on to, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. No, there must be, could we go back another one? Sorry, I'm getting a little bit out of sync here. Request of flooding issue Golding Ave. Yeah, parking ride. Sorry, go back to that one. Sorry to mess you about. The issues of Golding Ave be addressed. We've done that. And the park and ride facility in the southwest. That's something that we've been talking about as a board for a long time. And if we want to use public transport to keep that carbon footprint down, and to not have the motorways and roading less clogged, what we're really wanting to do is to have a park and ride like they've got park and ride in Waimakariri, for example, but there's no opportunity for park and ride in this area. And we've got Prebbleton growing like crazy. We've got Selwyn out there, Rolleston, They have park and ride out there, but we haven't got that opportunity here in our ward for park and ride. So what we'd really want to do is to have, when we have commercial developments and that taking place, or the spare land, maybe even around the edge of a stormwater retention basin. I don't want to go into too much detail, but where there's, if that's what we want as a city, we've got to make sure that people have got the ability to actually drive, hop on the bus, go to town and do their business, and then come back and hop in the car and go. So please, can we have a look at that? Because if we're going into the future, if we don't do it now, we're not going to do it right. The other one is the provision for the Upper Riccarton War Memorial Library, the trust side. I know that the Historic Places Trust is still looking at that building for possible retention. But anyway, the key of our community board at this point in time is to keep that land at least as a memorial for those people. This is especially with now that Renadale's closing down as well, which is a real issue that just came out of the blue to our community board. So that area, was gifted, that area of land, and to the Riccarton Council back in the day, and that was just after the First World War, actually. So what we'd like to have is that land retained so it can be a memorial garden. If we can't retain the building, if we can have a memorial garden there and have the plaques and stuff there, would be really good, so people can go and reflect. So if we can have that done, that would be very much appreciated. And there's also a request for the advancement of the Templeton Domain Playground renewal. So that's something that that people of Templeton's growing and growing. And if we can get that playground there, but it's out of date, it's past its use by date. So if we can get some focus on that, it's not a biggie, but it's very important to the people in that community. If we can get that done, be much appreciated. And the other one should be missed here is the dog park. There is a willingness and a wish from the community to have a fenced dog park in our area. This submission specifies specifically around the Halswell area, but we're recognising that it's in our ward. It's a lot more than actually Halswell. There's other people that need to be considered as well. I've got the luxury of the Waterloo Business Park just down the road from me, which has got a lot of green space. That I can take my dog down there and let it run loose, and that's very much appreciated. But those sort of things are going to go. And I don't think it's fair to have a dog that you've got to have on a leash all the time. I think you need to have the ability somewhere to let the dogs go and have a run around and be a dog. Just be a dog. They're our friends, so we've got to look after them. And the other issue that we've got is the Sockburn Service Centre site and the Sockburn assets. The building has been demolished. It's a bit of an eyesore, but anyway, it's less of an eyesore now that the building's down. But we as a board still aren't clear on what's actually going to be the layout of that site. So, we'd like a bit of an update on that, but that's not part of the submission. Since the closing of the Sockburn pool, the big pool was removed, and the smaller pool is still there, and it's a real eyesore. And what the community is saying is, please, can we have our park finished so that we can enjoy it? So it's still, the parts of it are still all fenced off. So it's just, that's been a long time. It's not a biggie. It's not a big ask. It should be something that would be, I would say, we'd be able to come out of a budget somewhere easy enough. And I know it's difficult for you people all the time to have a look at budgets and where money can come from. But if you're living in that area of Sockburn and you see that lovely park, but there's big clunks of unused things with fences around it, it's not a good look. So then we go on to I think that's Kyle Street in Riccarton. That's a little street, and it's where Niwa have got their office. And what we're asking for them there is for that area to be upgraded. It's as soon as possible. If there's any work being done in that area, could you please upgrade that area? It's a little bit of a disgrace, really, and we'd just like to see that goes into the craft program, and to renew that at the same time, flags that it's likely to seek the renewal of Kyle Street be included in the 23-24 annual plan. And really, I know I could talk a lot more.
Well, you're going to run out of time for the other items, so can you do you want to speak at all on the proposal to increase rates on vacant central land?
Yes, we do.
You've got very little time left.
Okay, so we support increasing the rates on vacant land so that people can get. I know the council have already been talking about that as well, and we support the council's taking action to clean up that land and get the remnants, get that earthquake feel out of the central city. You know, you go in there and you see that vacant land and those buildings still standing and stuff, and think, oh my God, that reminds us of the earthquake all the time. So if we could get that cleaned up and something useful go in there, it'd be much better than what we've got there now. So if it takes an extra rate on vacant land to do it, well then let's use that tool and do it.
Thank you. Tim.
Yeah, hey, thank you very much, Mike. You mentioned about targeting development contributions.
Yes.
So how's that going to work when you've got those cushion suburbs like Herne Hay, Rowley now, Lower Cashmere, Spraydon, Summerfield, where we're having intensification, but not to the level of the new builds you've got, but we are putting up, and there'll be a number of other suburbs as well, without question, who are having to deal with the traffic driving through. So, but our, if you like, development contribution share will be a lot less than the widespread development in Halswell. So how do we cope?
Well, what I think we should do as a council is have a look at DCs right across the board, so that we get more money from DCs as they happen, so that we can concentrate on fixing those anomalies. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult, but it's because of the intensification that developers come and made money out of and provided housing. I know there's going to be a cost added onto the housing if you increase the development contributions, but it does give the city a bit more income to actually do this work.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Yeah. So, Mike, on the park and ride,
Yes.
I struggle with it a little because I haven't seen a lot of evidence that they work. Are we not better to do a campaign, because there's essentially a park and ride by every bus stop? Just drive your car to the nearest bus stop rather than going past 3 bus stops to park at the big parking lot. Just park on the street near the bus stop and catch it. So we could do a really cool campaign where you spend a bit of money to say, did you realise there's this many park and ride spaces near your house? And so have a bit of fun with it, but encourage people to drive to their nearest, or they could bike, but drive to their nearest bus stop and use that as a park and ride. And
Well, then that's going to be another issue then, which would come back to our community board to say that, listen, we can't park outside our house because we've got cars parked there all day, or people can't access our building because we've got our business because we've got cars parked there all day. So then we've got to go into reaction mode. We're trying to be proactive here and look into the future, so that we don't have to deal with these other parking issues on a day-by-day basis, and that causes friction. Once you put parking restrictions in an area for park and ride, then you're gonna put more stress on parking around you know, we've got enough in Riccarton now. Where would you go in Riccarton, for example? You can't get a park anywhere in Riccarton at any time of the
There is
day.
I've got a
absolutely
great
no
cycle
point putting a park and ride in Riccarton. It is
No.
so close to the central
I know
city.
that. I know that.
People can walk down to the bus stop and catch the bus directly into town. But the issue around park and ride, because I actually agree with Aaron, they have to be focused. That where they work are places like North Shore, coming across the harbour bridge. So people in North Shore can park in one place and then go across the bridge in the bus with a separated bus lane, which works. The example of Lincoln or Prebleton or out at Rollston, that all makes sense. That's where the park and rides need to be. So what you're saying is that your community board considers that Halswell is sufficiently at a distance from bus routes to be able to get to the bus. And is that a problem about park and ride, or is that a problem about the extent of the bus routes integrating into those new subdivisions?
Well, it's a bit of both, really. It is. So there's people that have got, they might have a 3 or 4 minute walk in Halswell to a bus stop. That's right, isn't it, Anne? So in wet conditions, that's But anyway, those people, I suppose, walking's a bit different. But when you
I think 3 or 4
it was
minutes
our
is
community board have been talking
problem
about
is
park and
that-
ride as a global issue. Park and ride, put park and ride facilities in,
but
and
I
they'll be
th- I-
used.
it might be a good idea to come back to community board with
Okay.
some good
Yes.
information. So
Just a couple of quick questions. I think, just clarifying a little bit, it's, the traffic coming from Selwyn and Lincoln and
Yes.
Prebleton is going through Halswell. So it's a sense of perhaps stopping there.
So park and ride isn't working out there.
Well, we need more. We need more. They've got express buses, which is really great, but it's an issue. So, just Mike, quickly, the Sockburn site. Would it be good to investigate whether a dog park could go there, for example? A dog park that would be perhaps a win-win in terms of using that space in a way that
Well,
makes.
could be worth investigating, Ian. Yes, absolutely.
It's lovely. Look, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for making the most of your final submission, and all the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, and the next one is Carolyn Potter.